everybody? It's Brandon from ESCAPETHEROOMers. Day 2 on our tour, and we're in Colorado, but we are in Longmont, and we're checking out Atlas Escape Rooms. And I have the pleasure of speaking with Landon, who is the owner. How are you doing, Landon?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. And he currently has 3 games available here, but we're playing 2 of them. Which ones are we playing?
You are actually doing the Rockstar room and the Dragon room. So my original 2 rooms that I started with in Boulder, and then I moved it to Longmont.
Okay. I think what caught my attention when I was researching and I found your website was Crazy X. Tell us about Crazy X, since we're not playing that one.
So Crazy X is my newest room. It actually came out of a special event I did for a bar in Boulder. They wanted a Valentine's Day escape room event, so they sold special tickets. I set up an escape room in their bar, but they wanted it to be an anti-Valentine's Day type of puzzle, so they contracted me and we came up with the idea of Escape Your Crazy X.
That's so funny.
That one is actually the first part of the room is very kind of like Saw, of like puzzles about your relationship, and then the second half of the room is escaping the lab that you work for. So your ex was in charge of research and development at a sketchy lab, so you have to find the antidotes to the poison in the second half of the puzzle.
Wow. Okay. So originally, when you did it for the bar, it was more of a pop-up.
Yeah, exactly. So they sold.
Yeah,
it was more of balancing the drinking and food with the puzzle. So I didn't go all the way out. So obviously, the version that's at my location has way more puzzles, way more difficult. But the original was like a pop-up. They sold like tickets that included drinks, and we actually made the drinks part of the puzzle. So once you got to certain areas in the puzzle, you got a drink voucher. You would take it to the bartender. They would make you that cocktail. So it was definitely a fun mix of, you know, fun and glee mixed with puzzles. So
cool. So no drinks and
unfortunately not, but it is a good location because I've got a distillery and a cidery in the building, and so I just reached out with St. Brain, the cidery in the building, and we're going to do a partnership of maybe date nights or something like that, where you go to the cidery beforehand, come do the puzzles, and so I'm hoping to kind of use all the resources around me in Longmont.
Great. Out of the 3 games that you have available, which is the oldest to the newest?
So when I open in Boulder, I open with Rockstar and Dragon, and then so Crazy X is actually in the same universe of the third room's always set in the Atlas Beverage universe. So it's a fake brewing company that I've made up. So that one, I just wanted to have it so I could rotate my third room, and I didn't have to wait the full 1.5 to 2 years that I usually do for a main room.
Okay.
So just setting them all in the Atlas Beverage world. There's been Bloody Fun Party, which is a murder mystery. There was the original Office Party, which is just like a hangover kind of theme. And then Escape Your Crazy X. It's still set in that same company. So, but Rockstar and Dragon are the original 2. When I moved to Longmont, they became 2.0. So same theme, brand new puzzles. So.
Yeah, I noticed the 2.0. I was about to get into that.
Yep.
All right, and then out of the games, which seems to be your most popular, the one that players come to book the most?
I would say Dragon, actually. Okay. So that one really hits on the fantasy, and usually people enjoy escape rooms, enjoy D&D and fantasy and that kind of thing. Rockstar's actually second. That one really hits with the crowd of like, once you do it, you'll see you can actually play your own records in there. So I've stocked it with 100 vinyls. So a lot of people can actually like find stuff from their childhood, the older crowd. We in Boulder, we actually did a lot of private parties for like big tech companies and stuff like that. So you would get like Google executives and stuff that would find like a crazy like Jefferson Airplane or a lesser known record, and they would just listen to that the whole time.
Oh wow, sounds really cool. And we'll find out about that soon. But next thing I want to know is, I know you mentioned that you might be partnering with a cider beverage company in the building. Is there any other updates or news for the future that you can share with us for Atlas?
I would, now that things have kind of calmed down and we're all slowly getting back to normal, I do think I want to kind of invest in more of that pop-up kind of culture. I enjoyed really kind of taking over a location. So as I just mentioned, we do a lot of big private parties for big tech companies, and there's only like, if they have 80 to 200 people, like I just got contacted by CU for a sorority. There's, I mean, they don't want to be here for 6-7 hours. If I can basically run 30 people at a time. So
Okay.
for 200 people, I'll be here 8 hours, 9 hours. So I think it would be more beneficial to them is kind of bringing the puzzle to them.
Yeah.
So I was a general manager at another company before I started this one, and they were kind of experimenting that with a set of pirate chess. So I would like to make it more personalized, of just kind of, they give me what a theme, they let me kind of just bring my own safes, my own locks, my kind of set up for a few hours, and then I can make it as unique as possible. But
yeah, I mean, it's more, personal and customized.
Yeah, and I mean, you can make it more educational, because a lot of these companies love using it for kind of team building.
Yeah.
It's fun, and they can write it off as like, the required team building. Since most of these big Fortune 500 companies, HR has them do a certain amount of events a year. So if the staff can have fun while they do it, and they check off like, this is why teamwork works, like it's 2 birds, 1 stone type of thing.
Absolutely. We always recommend for corporate companies, or not even corporate companies, just for like bonding and getting to know people, because you see people come out of their shells a little bit outside the office and then interact with each other. In terms of game mastering, because I assume you're still in the control room and game mastering, share a story with us of what you've seen players do on camera. It could be wow, it could be like, oh my god, or any story you want to share.
Of course. So this is actually when I was the general manager at the other location. We had a puzzle that involved, the final step was like unscrewing a keypad and moving it to another location, that type of thing. But it's always a little iffy when you give guests tools, because some guests, like you would expect them just to stick to like keypad, screwdriver. This guest decided the easiest way to get out of the room was to take the door off the hinges. So it was in a blind spot of the camera, and all of us were sitting there like, this is taking way too long.
Oh, you couldn't even see
we see the keypad. Obviously, the camera was located right at the keypad and give us that, and then we're like, where did this person go? Like, it must not have been a big group, or maybe it was a big group and we lost that person, but like, we went to like open the door to be like, oh, like, you didn't escape, but let us know what, and like the door just came off the hinges, and we were just like, what? And he's like, oh, that seemed easier than removing the keypad. And we
oh my
just
goodness, he was being MacGyver there, trying to figure out his own way out.
And then you've always got your proposals. Those are always the kind of fun to set up. I've done a few, and it's always a little nerve-wracking. I like walk the groom or through the puzzle multiple times, and we had one where like I wanted to show him the steps, not just the final go, but it got down to that crunch time, and like he couldn't remember the final step. He knew he knew what the number you got from the final step was, so he's just like, what if we guessed 4? Like, and so and his fiance was like, great job. And I was like, well, that's a good guess.
Which room do you normally get for the proposal?
So I would say Dragon, since Dragon is actually an item recovery. Rockstar and Crazy X are your get out of a locked door escape rooms. Dragon, you're trying to recover a physical dragon egg, so you can kind of just put the ring in the egg spot. So works out well. That way I don't have to be like standing at the door with a ring.
So I'm assuming it's 100% success.
For the proposals, I will walk them through. I will give them the code. Like, if they want it, I will write it on a sheet of paper. Like, I think like at that point, the proposal kind of trumps the escape room experience. You want both of them to mesh, but I think if the groom had a choice, I think he would choose to get the ring instead of a pure puzzle.
I think it's the first time. I mean, we heard tons of proposal stories, but I'm not sure. But I think this is the first time we heard the player or the future groom having all the answers and then being able to just,
risky, I mean, I get it. I've done blind dates that have actually gone horrible. So
we've heard those.
Yeah, too. Like a local magazine, Rooster, would set up like a blind date once a month or something like that, and they chose us. And like the thing that made it like awkward was they do interviews throughout the blind date. So usually it's like a restaurant, so they would like take the dude or the girl and just be like, so how's it going? Like, what do you think? And so like they were doing that in the room, so like they literally would like come grab them from the room, and the other person was just like sitting there for like 10 minutes while like the other one was getting interviewed. Like, you don't really want to do the puzzle without them, because like then you have to like, oh, I did this, so
what did you do? Did you do
right, and it screws up the flow. You know, when you like get in like a flow of like the puzzle, and you're starting to think like the game master or like the designer of like and then like you have to go answer questions. So it wasn't like...
I think blind dates, you know, and escape rooms definitely have some sort of there should be some matchup there, because you're saving yourself future arguments.
Yeah, I mean,
whatever. Just like see if you guys mesh.
Yeah,
right
it's always good to get those kind of dire kind of moments out of the way of just like it's not real danger or like how you would react in a real stressful situation. So it's like kind of a control of it, of just like how are you going to go to your first furniture store together or something like that. The stressful moments. And
we've heard of horror escape rooms where the guy just threw the girl in front of him.
Oh, gosh.
And it's like, all right, I know where this is going in the future, and let's just stop now.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. And then, do you play escape rooms?
So that's actually a good question. So I love them. Obviously, I own an escape room, but I try not to do that many. I've done a few. I can shout out a few, but I believe like content should like be very unique to the designer. And I know myself, and if I go to too many, like I'll see, like I'll try and like cherry pick. Like I won't do it on purpose, but I don't want to plagiarize anyone's rooms, because you know you see something cool, like it's one of those things of like, oh, how could I use that? So I definitely draw more inspiration from watching groups, so seeing how people like interact with certain things. I'm actually always kind of tweaking my rooms of like if this step isn't working, or like if this item is like too confusing and stuff like that. I really want a kind of flowing room. I'm not a huge fan of like choppy and like having to clue multiple times. So I'd much rather like if someone gets like stuck on a step, so like if all these groups get stuck on the step, it's not a good step. Even if it's the coolest step, even if it uses the best technology, that if you have to clue for it every time, like it ruins the experience.
Absolutely, totally agree. And I'm assuming like when you're watching them, and you probably get a couple of creative plays which you draw inspiration from, like, oh, I never thought of
it's funny
that
like
way.
Guests will actually use an item wrong, but it could be used in like a future version. Just like I see the item and I'm like, oh, you need to collect these ones, and then they see the items like, oh, which ones are missing and stuff like that. So it's pretty crazy of like guests themselves will give you a lot of good content, because everyone's brains are wired differently. So I set up a puzzle and I'm like, oh, this is going to be so obvious. The guest sees it and it's like, oh, like we should do this. I'm like, oh, you could do that.
Yeah, cool. So if you were to give a shout out to one, or one that was memorable, it doesn't have to be a favorite, preferably the name of the company and the name of the game that was memorable.
All right, so it's been a while. I'm not 100% sure.
I'll try to help you.
Yeah, if they're still actually in business. So it was the first one that kind of like made me realize I wanted to be an owner. It's in Fort Collins. It's called Somewhere Secret. So that one is like on top of a antique store or like kind of thrift store. It's like kind of the mom and pop, which is what I go for. Of like I do love the big production ones of like Hollywood sets and everything. But to me, it's kind of story and flow and everything. But I remember it's very memorable. The clues were kind of like thrown like out of like a vent or something like that, so you didn't know exactly when you were getting a clue.
Or how you were getting it.
Right. And then the one part I do remember, I can't quite remember the name of the puzzle, but they get your group and they anoint somebody or like put a special clue that only that one person can. So I've always thought about like how I could maybe like I when I first did Dragon, I thought of like doing something like that, of giving someone half the cipher and like they would have to like solve it. But that was really unique, and I hadn't seen that at any other locations, and I thought it was like a really cool, like good vibe. Like it felt like an escape room. And then the other one is probably one of the most popular in Colorado, and they had actually just reached out, and hopefully we can switch games to Rabbit Hole. Yeah,
I was gonna make the guess. Which game did you?
I can't remember.
I can help you.
Yeah.
Frostbase?
I was gonna say like Frostbase, and I knew there was like something after it, but I was gonna say like 45 or something. So I knew it was that. So
we're heading there next. So
we're
playing 2 games there. So, but shout out to Somewhere Secret and Rabbit Hole Recreation Services. And now the last question we have for you is to get to know Landon a little bit better. Something that most people do not know about you outside of Atlas. It could be like a hidden talent that you have, a hobby, or something that you do.
So I actually went to college for English literature. So I am a huge English literature nerd. Love classic novels. Spend most of my time reading like older. I do love newer books and stuff, but a lot of the inspiration for at least for Dragon and stuff has come from like Canterbury Tales, that type of thing. So huge nerd. Obviously, is not unique to escape room owners, huge board game nerd. I'm sure there's a lot of us out there, but I love kind of just immersing myself in like the story, and that's about it. I mean, I run a lot, so I ran cross country, and Colorado is the perfect spot for that. So I'm not quite as fast as I used to be. Life has gotten, the weight has packed on.
That happens to all of us, or that is happening to all of us. Well, thank you so much for having us.
Thank
we really
you.
appreciate it. Landon, please tell them where they can find you, your website, your social media.
So yeah, you can find us at www.atlasescaperoom.com. Then Instagram, just search Atlas Escape Room. We've also got a Facebook under the same moniker. So yeah, just check us out on those sites. We'll be introducing a lot of new content, puzzles, designs, all that stuff. So give us a follow.
There you go. And also check out our website, ESCAPETHEROOMers.com, so you'll know what we thought of the 2 games that we're playing here today at Atlas Escape Rooms. And smash that like button below. Do not forget to like and subscribe, because we're showing you what to expect when you get here. The parking lot situation, the lobby, what floor to take the elevator to, and all that jazz. And I'm also going to sneak in there and try to get a peek of what the rooms look like. Peace out.
For me to use 1 hit left for me to move. Time is running out, gotta figure something out.